Well, this morning I found myself at the foot of the mountain, Mount Olympus, but the locals were saying I really shouldn't go up and the cable car wasn't running because of the bad weather. So I caught the bus back to Antalya, and I didn't want to stay in Antalya any longer. So I've caught the bus to Pamukkale, which is like a hot springs, and it's supposed to have all this calcium fluffy area, and I kind of see it from the top of my hotel room. So it's just over there in the distance. So when I got here, it was about 3.5 hours on the bus, and I just caught the bus from the main bus station in Antalya. So I caught the bus back, just changed. They go every half hour or so to a place called Denzal, and then you just catch a local bus from Denzal to here. In total, it cost about 140 lira, 145 lira to get here. So that's very cheap, hardly anything. And then I booked this hotel room for 2 nights, and it's 13 euros a night with breakfast. So it's off season. I think I'm about the only person here. Here we go. So you got this balcony at the top with not a great view, but a view. And then you have like a settee there, a bed, a heater, and the bathroom. And this was rated 8.5 on booking.com. And the man was very nice. There was nobody here, I had to call them, but he was only like 2 minutes away. So this is what 13 euros gets you. There's cheaper places, but I wanted something with a high score on booking.com. Just remembering, booking.com doesn't work unless you have a VPN here. And more than likely, if you could find people, you would get it cheaper again, because everywhere I've been, before I've used booking.com, it might be listed like 35 euros on booking.com, and when you get there, they just give it to you for 20. So almost certainly this would have been cheaper if I just turned up. But if I just turned up, there would have been nobody here. There's heaps of accommodation options in this town too. Okay, I've just walked into the tourist attraction here, and it was 200 lira to get in. And supposedly when I get onto this white stuff, which is calcium, I'm going to take my shoes off. So it's cold, I'm a bit worried. And that's the ticket booth down there. So it's not far from the town itself. When you look on the map, it says it's 3.8 kilometers away, which I take it there's another entrance 3.8 kilometers away, which I'll try and walk out of when we're finished. You can see some Roman tombs up there on the hill, but there's a Roman city in here as well. Okay, this is where you have to take your shoes off, and just out of interest, that's water. So there's water all over this. Hopefully it's warm water because it's cold. I'm wearing a beanie, and I really think that it's a cold day to take your shoes off and wander around without them on. But I'm planning on going swimming, so this will be a good start. Okay, it's painfully white, the calcium, and it's freezing cold when you're in the water's freezing cold when you're down the bottom, but it's getting warmer as they're coming up. So I'd say when you put your feet into the water and you lose feeling, quickly move up further and it'll be warm and the feeling will come back to your feet. It's good, but it's definitely not slippery. It's very hard on the foot, and it's really good. I think we've got some weather coming in, so that'll be interesting. I didn't bring my raincoat because I'm an idiot. Idiot, Charlie, those two words go together. So, but it's very pretty, and I'm hoping it's snow because at least I don't want to get wet. So yeah, it's quite nice. I would say the water at this point is just tolerable, not hot, not cold, just nice. And it's coming over everything. You can see the mist coming up off that as well. So if we walk over to there, through the water, if you think there's paths here, there's not. It's all very trip hazardy, but hard to fall. All the surfaces here are covered in water. Oh, you see this here? This looks like the sand on the beach, except it's kind of razor sharp on top. It doesn't collapse. Okay, I've walked to the top of the calcium tiers or terraces. Let me tell you, my feet really hurt when I got to the top. Like, first they're freezing cold, then they're warm, then they're freezing cold, and also the whole texture of the slope is like the beach, but you know, all the ridges and caves and convers, but you know, my feet are weak, I tells you. And so they hurt by the time you get to the top. And when you get to the top, the last pool is like nice and warm, so you can warm up your feet, and then there's chairs for you to put your shoes back on. And at the top, there's Roman ruins and Middle Age ruins. So at the moment, I'm exploring the Middle Age ruins, which were built in the 13th century and abandoned in the 14th century. And it's basically just a big fortress that was up here on a spur of land that overlooks this. I don't know why it was abandoned. I don't think anybody does. And they took the rocks from the Roman ruins. So, you know, another bit of vandalism. They should have like World Heritage listed them back then. Okay. The mist is rolled in, so there's not great views from the top here because now it's completely encased in mist, and also the mist from the hot water, so you can't really see that much. But I'll try and show you. So that's the fortress walls there. There's not much up here as far as food options or drink options, so it's best to bring a bit of a picnic. The ones I've seen have been like very predatory pricing, and also very limited sort of options. So just bring a picnic. It's plenty of picnic tables up here and everything, so no problem. So you can see the spur running out. So this whole fortress, all they've done is build one wall that sort of cuts off the fortress, cuts off the peninsula, and called that the fortress. It's not a really big area that they've cut off. Mind you, it was only for 100 years, so maybe it doesn't matter. There's the town down the bottom. This is quite a big site, so we'll be walking around quite a bit up here. Okay, here's a bit of evidence of the vandalism by the Middle Ages. So there's you can see how the walls just got like columns from the Romans in the wall. So there's another one over there, just stuck in the wall. Well, you know, I suppose needs be. It's a shame because the Roman ruins look so much better than the Middle Ages ruins. Like they knew what they were doing back in the Roman era, and I think they were just fudging it during the Middle Ages. So we'll just pull this stuff down and put it on over here. It'll be good enough. So the Romans had a pretty big city up here, as you can see, centered around the Roman baths and how defensible the land was as well, and the crops. So pretty amazing. When you get to the top, there's a museum that's included in your entry. It's part of the old bath complex, and it's bloody amazing. I think this is a really great place to come. Some of these carvings, like in the tombs, are just like amazing. You see that one there behind me? Like it's very well done, and it doesn't look like it's aged, 2,000 years. And there's heaps of them here, heaps of statues and everything like that. I mean, okay, the Romans had their negatives with all the slavery and the short lifespans and all that, but they certainly seem to know how to live. And the baths, this is where they used to have the fires to heat up the bath water. And the water outside is already at 36 degrees, so they must have also had like really hot baths as well. And this is still standing from 2,000 years. It's pretty amazing. And this is only one room in a fairly vast complex that's 1.5 hectares. Look, there's all the up, and then there's the down basements, with all the arches and everything like that. So that's got to be like 20 feet underground. Like, that's amazing. Like, I'm always just constantly amazed at how much they built and what they left behind, and how they managed to fall from such a period. I mean, in our plastic throwaway world, all we're going to leave is a lot of rubbish. I suppose they left the equivalent of their building products in concrete. But I mean, like, it's amazing. They did all this without, heavy machinery. Time and people. No telly, no internet. I've been walking for about 1 kilometre, maybe a little bit more. And into the distance, you know, all you can see is ruins, Roman ruins. And up on the hills, all you can see is Roman ruins. And supposedly, if I walk in the other direction, there's like 3 kilometers, maybe 4 kilometers of Roman ruins. So, you know, my nephew Seth would probably love this place, the archaeology student. Like, maybe it's a bit daunting, you know, because we come from Australia, there's very little archaeology. And here, there's too much. You'd be like, do I start over there? Or do I start over here? What do I do? Like, there's just too much of it. There's like too much. And quite a lot of it's still in reasonable condition. Like, it's surprising how many columns are still standing, you know, like, because if I was around back in the Middle Ages, I'd be pushing the columns over because I'm you know, I'm a rapscallion. Like that, you know, for 2,000 years, people haven't got together and had a column tossing party is beyond me. But it's amazing. Like, look, there's one over there that must be like 60 feet tall, you know, like there's lots of little ones that are like 20 feet tall. Everywhere you go, I'll stop at one place down further that looks like it's got lots of them. But there's just the sheer amount of it. Like there's just lots and lots and lots of it. And, you know, it's a very picturesque because it's still on a peninsula on one side that's got all the white, you know, calcium cliffs. So you can imagine promenading along there in the Roman in your toga. They're very nice. So this is an old dunny. You know, so, you know, pretty grand dunny, isn't it? So the running water used to come through here and people used to defecate and do their number ones in here as well. So I'm planning, as soon as this video is over, to maintain the tradition and to, you know, just number one, Bo, just a number one, because, you know, I like to make history alive. You know, so that's so cool. You could do some really good, you know, pillar toppling here. So it's pretty well preserved. Oh, and you know that street we were going through, there's a sewer, like an underground sewer underneath it to wash away any rain or anything like that. And this had running water through it as well to wash away, obviously, the defecation and the pee. So that's amazing. You know, running water sewers. And you can still see it at the street. Underneath the street, you can see it easily. Pretty cool gate as well. Okay, you can see the plinths up there for columns, which have been knocked down. So some people have shown some initiative, and there's some more there. They're probably over in the wall that we just were seeing before, made out of, but there's still a couple standing over there. And there's a few more up there in the corner. And we're sort of walking along a bit of a street now, an old Roman street. We're going to go through this wall. And then there's a lot more columns. They must have got tired knocking the columns down. Well, you know, they just kind of said the wall's built enough, so they'll do. Supposedly, most of this has been demolished through earthquakes. And it makes me think, because, you know, you see all these houses being made out of stone with really big retaining walls, like really big stone retaining walls. And you think, maybe that's not a great wise idea, you know, because there seems to be a few earthquakes around in Turkey. And there seems to be a lot of like evidence of these earthquakes knocking stuff over. And I don't know if I'd want to have my whole house on top of like a 60-foot retaining wall that's just sort of held up by stone, no reinforcing, no nothing, and you have an earthquake. See, look, there's some columns that are still standing with a bit of lintel on top. And, you know, there's more columns down there with lintel on top as well. So, yeah, I suppose the lintel, like, you know, would be a positive and negative in an earthquake because, you know, it would sort of like hold them all together, give them a bit of structural stability, but also, yeah, maybe give it a bit of sideways. And as you can see, there's columns, you know, in the field surrounding us as well. So there's hectares and hectares of this. Like, there's not just like a little tiny bit, there's like hectares and hectares. And supposedly these are not the biggest ruins in Turkey, nor the most well-preserved ones. I'm probably going to go to those soon, though. Starts with E. I can't remember. If I say it, I'll butcher it. You know, and then Mr. Rankin will say, "You're butchering it. You're butchering the pronunciation, and you're using the wrong words." So there we go. because I'm on my phone, I can only take small amounts, but trust me, it's pretty impressive, even in the heights. And the other interesting thing is, this was a pedestrian-only road because there's no wheel ruts, which is amazing as well. So they were ahead of their time, having pedestrian-only areas. I've been walking about 1 kilometre along this avenue, and you can see the sewer, like the cross streets have the little sewer that comes down into them. And you know, that's the little lane, which has also got sewer along it as well. I just think plumbing is like so exciting. I know all you guys are on the edge of your seat to look at plumbing. Like there's a sewer box down there. It's really interesting. As you walk along, and you know, you're going along the street, and you can see the walls on either side. And you can see one of the theatres over there on the hill. There's 3 of them in this town or city. And, you know, you're just following the sewer along, which is also a street. You know, this gives you an idea of the bigger sewers. You know, so we saw the little cross sewer, and then we are there. There's a bigger sewer there, with more cross sewers going into it. So you know, again, there's not. It's just very interesting. You know, like that they got all this sort of worked out. You know, more than 2,000 years ago, running water, sewerage. You know, urban development. When I was on the edge of town, they have bathhouses, so they used to make everybody bathe before they were allowed into the town to control epidemics and all that. So it was very important that you were clean when you came inside. So I think that's amazing, you know, that you had to go to church and you had to also bathe. Okay, I'm just sitting in the theatre. It's pretty impressive, and supposedly this is built in the 3rd century, and it's built on the site of the one before it. So there was a smaller one, and they just built this one over the top of it. And they rebuilt that wall back in 2014, the stage, and they sort of like found all the bits that were like lying around and rebuilt it. And for the bits they couldn't find, they made it out of a different type of marble so you can see it easily. So that's pretty amazing. They just had a look around and picked up the bits that were there. So it's very steep. It's got a fantastic view, and I take it would be lovely even on a hot day. It'd be awesome. So this is one of 3, I think, in this town, theatres like this. So I probably won't go the other 2 because the town's so large. Okay, this is the pool that you can swim at, the heated pool. I'm going to go in. It's 130 lira, which is like 7 euros, and it's got like old columns and part of a temple in there. And I would like to be warm for once. I think it'd be nice. It's just starting to rain, so that'll be nice. No, it's not. Oh, yes, it is. Okay, so that'll be interesting. Sweet. Well, I just got out of the pool. I spent 2 hours in there, and it was nice. It was not as hot as I was hoping it was going to be, but it's quite deep. So some parts of it are like 5 meters deep, and it was nice to relax in there. It's very chilly outside, so it's probably about 8 or 9 degrees, and inside the pool it's 36 degrees, which sounds hot, but it could have been hotter. I would have liked it hotter. So it never got crowded. Supposedly in summer, it's standing room only. But actually this is about as crowded as it got, and there's about 10 people in there. Most of the time I was in there by myself. You're in a bit of a fishbowl though, because everybody walks around and points at you while you're in there. But you know, it's okay. And there's a deep part, a very shallow part, and a medium depth part. And there's lots of, you know, columns and stuff to explore while you're in there. It's been a great day. A good mix between relaxing in the hot springs and exploring the Roman ruins, and also these wonderful, beautiful and quite painful calcium ridges. They're extremely stark and extremely beautiful. So I'm looking forward to you guys commenting on them and telling what you think. But I think they're possibly one of the wonders of the world. It's very beautiful, and they're very extensive. So this is the walk up and down, but they go for miles. So I'll just turn it around and show you some more.
Yavaş.
Okay, well, that gives you a taste of it, but it goes everywhere, effectively. So, very beautiful, very stark and very unusual landscape.